As a guy, I don't give much thought to flowers, but clearly, they're pretty popular. And it's made me wonder, can you make a living as a florist? If you've also wanted the same thing, or if you're looking for a satisfying career side hustle, then you have come to the right place. Because I interviewed a professional florist, and I learned how you can make a living, skills that you must have in order to be a successful florist, and her advice for how you can get started. So stick around, because this one's going to be good. So in my interview with the florist, I tried to ask her questions that I thought someone would want to know the answer to if they are interested in becoming a florist. And I have actually made timestamps below of all the different questions that I asked, so you're welcome to skip ahead to the parts that you think are the most valuable to you. There's also a second part to this video called a quick tip, where in my interview with the florist, she shared information that I didn't want to get lost in this video. So I thought it deserved its own separate video, so keep an eye out for it, because honestly what she said there is a must-have for florists. This is probably my favorite video that I've made so far, so I hope you enjoy it.
My name is Megan Melville. I am the former owner and operator of Sweet William Floral and Design. I'm an interior designer and a florist, so currently designer, and I was a full-time florist for about 8.5 years. So a florist, they can do everyday stuff as far as, you know, birthdays, anniversaries. We did things, I mean, obviously we did flowers, we did balloons, plants, lots of gift baskets. There's that side of it, kind of more the gift giving side. Funerals, lots of funerals. I know some florists that's all they do. Weddings, there are obviously a lot of florists that do just weddings. That's enough to keep people busy. Dances was a huge one for us. We were really close to Bingham High School, so we did a lot of formal dances. So it's kind of all over the place, which is one of the things I like about it. Oh man. I mean, penguins, bless them, they're already a bird. Like, they should be able to fly too. They would probably be less of prey for, you know, the seals and polar bears and all that stuff, but I don't know, that's what I was just thinking, like maybe they could go somewhere else. I was a brick and mortar florist, so I had a shop that I needed to have manned. So I would be there most days, Monday through Saturday. So a day, like a typical day, usually started out going to suppliers, getting fresh product for the day. Sometimes it was doing early morning deliveries, taking orders. We had the ability to take orders online. That was a big part of our business. Usually it involved working on some kind of larger project, like getting a quote for a wedding, you know, things like that. Ordering flowers for whatever event was coming up that weekend. So that was usually a typical day. Some days could be slower than others. Others were obviously crazy. Flowers are definitely seasonal. So like January is kind of slow. We meet with a lot of brides. It's kind of wedding planning month, and you're gearing up for Valentine's Day. And then Valentine's Day hits and it's just like complete madness. Graduations, all that kind of stuff. And then once school's out, Mother's Day was always really crazy. It's wedding season, so that keeps you busy. And then once school's back in, everyone's kind of back to a routine. So like the everyday stuff picks up again. So, and then like the holidays, you start doing like centerpieces, corporate events, a lot of like work parties, that kind of thing. So there's always something. It kind of changes throughout the year, but enough that it was steady. You know, it kind of depends on the month, but a typical week, I was usually there Monday through Saturday, kind of an all day, every day. I would say at least 50, sometimes 60 or 70, just depending on what was happening. Once Valentine's Day hit though, like it was pretty steady, like through May. So then you get Mother's Day, graduations, proms, things like that. And then you're like right into wedding season. And most weddings are on weekends, so weekends were usually, you know, pretty busy. The hard thing with flowers is like you can only do so much beforehand because it's a fresh product. You have to do, I mean, like I wouldn't start big weddings until, you know, a couple days before. So you don't have a lot of like, I can work on this for a whole week and, you know, get to bed at a decent hour. So there's a lot of late nights, but it was still fun. Like, let's say I spent $1,000 on flowers, I would charge the person maybe around $2,000. I mean, sometimes it's tripled, but then once you pay your crew or, you know, you take your time out of it, that would be pretty standard. Because if it's just a bunch of centerpieces, it would probably be less just because they're less labor intensive. Anything that's a lot of handwork, like boutonnieres, corsages, that stuff's a little bit more. And like, if I were to do a wedding now, just as like a wedding that I do just that without having a shop, I would probably charge a little bit more just because anything left over, it's not something I could use in a shop. I mean, you can make a living and you can make decent money on certain events. Weddings, corporate events can be really lucrative. The biggest thing is knowing how to order the product, because if you have a ton of stuff left over from a wedding, that's where all your profits tied up. So I started at a shop in high school, and that's kind of where I got, you know, some of the basics. And then in college, I worked at a flower shop for about a year where I learned a little bit more. And then honestly, from then on, it was just kind of self-taught. And most florists I know are mostly self-taught. Unless you can get in with a shop and be able to learn from another florist, that's probably the most typical way. There's definitely something to be said for kind of a natural ability or just kind of the creativity behind it. But I would say anywhere from like 6 months to a year. If you're super gung-ho about it and you're a quick learner, like it can happen pretty quickly.
Would you encourage someone to go through college program?
I would tell someone to work at a shop, try and get a job at a shop. There was a school, and it might still be there, down in Springville, that had like a 6-week course to kind of do the basics. And my degree is in interior design, because all the principles are the same, you know, color and balance and all of those things. That is tough. I would probably say green, because I know there are the most shades of green of any color. So that would probably be just, statistically, we'd be able to see more. Because most of the earth is green. So, and honestly, I love color, like saturated color. I'm a color person. So it's a good color. Yeah, it's a good color. There's a reason it's so easy to see. It's soothing and, you know, nature, all that good stuff. I did actually get help with my business plan to start it, and I went through SCORE. It's all free, and I think they're somehow connected to Zions Bank, but it's called SCORE Utah, and they help people set up business plans to be able to get financing, things like that. I had several meetings with the same guy before I even handed my business plan in to get financing, because I knew I could do the flower side of it, the creative side of it, and all of that. But some of the other business stuff, I kind of relied on the help of others. And to be honest, I probably didn't have help for the first three and a half years before I could afford to hire someone. It was pretty much just me and my husband. So we were kind of it. And then once I got help, they could help with deliveries and running errands, things like that, which was nice. Because there's obviously some training involved to be able to get people to the point where they can, do orders by themselves, that kind of thing. But once I could have a couple girls there, it made a huge difference. It was awesome. I did love doing deliveries. That was on a weekly basis, that was probably my favorite thing. I listened to a lot of murder mysteries and true crime. So I would listen to my book and do my deliveries, and it was the best. I loved doing deliveries. There was definitely something about it that was nice to be able to give something to someone and have them be happy, brighten their day, give them a beautiful thing, and see the appreciation. Plus it was just the creativity side of it. It was nice to have that outlet, and it was kind of invigorating just to, you start something and you start this business hoping it'll take off, and you make it through your first Valentine's Day and it was a success. It's kind of an adrenaline rush a little bit. So as much stress as it was, that was a lot of fun. like if a customer was disappointed, it was really hard not to just like totally take it to heart, because it was like, I made that and that person doesn't like it. I mean, and you get a thick skin pretty quickly. And thankfully I'm like, I don't love conflict, but I felt like I was okay dealing with it. Like if something happened, I wasn't like terrified to have to talk to a customer. I didn't love that part. And owning your own business, I mean, you live it all the time. So even times that I wasn't there, it's always kind of in the back of your mind. So not being able to, you know, like go on family vacations and things like that, that was sometimes hard. But I mean, in the end, it was worth it. But I loved being able to, like, you know, train someone and show them some skills, and every single one of them, like they're kind of afraid, because it's like, okay, I don't want to break this, I don't want to ruin it, I don't want to do a bad job. But to kind of see people grow in like their own style and be able to teach them a skill that is marketable, and like see what they do with it after they leave the shop. I loved teaching people, and I offered classes while I was there. And I loved doing classes, because it's fun to watch someone, even that's only there for an hour, and they're like, oh, hey, like I can do this. This isn't quite so terrifying, because people just kind of look at it like, I don't even know where to start. And to kind of, to kind of take some of that, I guess, mystery away. But I loved teaching. And, you know, weddings, like having a bride cry because she loves her bouquet that much, like that's just the best feeling, because you're like, I did that. COVID? I mean, that's the obvious answer, right? Oh, that could be so many things. Gosh, now that's all I can think is all of this crap, right? Kids having to wear masks is like the cutest and the saddest thing all at the same time. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with COVID. It's terrible. So I sold my business last June. And one of the nice things about it is I felt like I was actually like selling someone something that would provide for their families. Like I didn't feel like I was jumping ship, or, you know, selling something that, like you said, like in 5 years, they're just going to be tanking. And it's two sisters, and they're so sweet. I know there will never not be florists. People are always going to die, and people are always going to get married. Hatch, match, and dispatch. So people are born, people get married, and people die. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's totally what I do. Because like stuff is always going to happen, and flowers is just kind of one of those universal things that people think of, like, oh, so-and-so's mother passed away, let's send them some flowers. Because every town has a florist, like every town, you're always going to have florists. And you know, it may kind of change a little bit. You know, social media has kind of changed it a little bit. But as far as like people being able to walk into a flower shop, you know, it's going to stay around. You know, if you could make a boutonniere and a corsage and like a wristlet corsage, you're at least like a portion of the way there. Especially to get a job at a flower shop. Because if someone were to come in and say, I at least know how to do ABC, I would look at them before I looked at other people. Because there's something that's time consuming. There's something that's always going on, because either it's dance season or it's wedding season. So if you can do a boutonniere and a corsage, and there are loads of videos online, the design side of it, I would say, is definitely a must. I mean, you need to have that element in your makeup to be able to make it work and be able to do it and not get burned out. So whatever route you go to be able to have some kind of art degree or design degree, it definitely was to my advantage to have that. But some business training would have been valuable. So even if you get a business degree and a certificate in floral design, like I think you could still be really successful. If you can get a job at a flower shop just to see what it's like, then you can kind of see like, okay, like, is this something I want to deal with? Is this something I want to do? You can get certified. It's not a certified profession that, because like I don't have to have a certificate to say I'm a florist. Anyone can say they're a florist. So you can get it. You know, you feel like it would help with a business plan or financing, you can get a certification just to kind of give you some credibility. So that would be a good next step. And I know I would have learned a lot too. You'd probably learn a lot just because they're professionals that have been doing it for ages and ages. I guess I would kind of focus on, because if you know you like the flower side of it, focus on the business side of it somehow, just so that you know you can make it work. Because it's tricky. Like that was probably more of my time than anything else, making sure, you know, budgets were on, and, you know, marketing, all of that stuff, marketing the smart way and different things like that. So I would say probably focus on the business side of it somehow. That's a huge place to start. And then also knowing flowers, like just go online and look at like an alphabetical list of what flowers are available as a cut flower. Because there are tons of like planted stuff, even in Utah, that I'm like, I have no idea what that is. Because unless it was something that I worked with as like an actual cut stem, it's not something that I felt like I needed to be familiar with. So study up on cut flowers, because there are so many. And if a customer comes in, like, you need to be comfortable enough to say, we have, you know, XYZ flowers. That would be a really good place to start. And then, you know, there's, like I said, grocery stores, Trader Joe's, they have awesome flowers. You can go and get your own flowers and just play around, like, you know, tinker a little bit and see if it's something that you really like.
A huge thank you to Megan for her time. I had a lot of fun interviewing her, and I think this video turned out really well. If you think the same thing, give me some love in the comments below. I'm making these videos in order to help someone find a satisfying career side hustle. And if this helps you in some way, let me know it, because that's what I'm doing this for. I want to help people, and it would be awesome to know that I'm doing that. So leave me a comment below what you thought. If you would like to see more videos like this one, or if you just need additional help in finding a satisfying career path or side hustle, please consider subscribing. I make these videos in order to help people, and my whole purpose is I want to help people find employment that makes them excited for the work that they do. So if this video was helpful, hit the thumbs up button, consider subscribing, and thanks so much for watching.